Hey entrepreneurs, are you trying to make a bigger profit in your small business? If you're like most of us entrepreneurs, increasing your profitability is always on your mind, and you're probably looking for ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that shares ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia Reiner. I'm a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guides your growth, and plans for your future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale-ready business creates a win-win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall later when it's time to let go. So I look forward to sharing strategies I've learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have some exciting news. I've just launched a super powerful training called the 30-Day Profit Booster, where I'll show you how to get 45% bump in your net profits in just 30 days. Simply by following a 3-step method that doesn't require you to chase more customers. This quick and easy profit boosting strategy can be done without spending more money on marketing, hiring additional staff, or working longer hours. Go check it out at www.30dayprofitbooster.com for more information. All right, guys, I'm excited to have my guest on today. Sarah Noel Block is an inbound marketing expert who focuses on education-based approach to marketing for small businesses and solopreneurs. Her approach to marketing system makes it easy for tiny teams to have a big impact. She works with businesses in 2 ways. 1, marketing education and products for small businesses. And number 2, strategy and executing content marketing plus inbound funnels for small businesses. Sarah, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here.
I'm excited. So I know we have just tons of stuff to talk about, but and probably we'll go off in different directions, but I would really love to figure out how small businesses can really work together with a small team. And I just love the name of your company. And I wanted to figure out, how did you come up with a small company such as Tiny Marketing?
Yeah, tiny marketing, the origin story of that would be I was a one-person marketing department for a 7-company group. So it was insane. I was answering to 7 different presidents and had to figure out a system to be able to make that work when it was just me. I didn't have a big budget. I had 0 team. And that's when I came up with my system to be able to market when I had a little budget and little team. So that's where I came up with tiny marketing, because you don't need to do all the things to have a big impact from your marketing. You just have to be consistent.
I love it. And it's so important. And by the way, well done. Cute name, attractive,
Thanks.
right on point. So branding is awesome with that.
Boom.
I know, right? Isn't that's so fun. So when we're thinking about it, most small companies in the realm of under a couple million in revenue, they really don't have that team to do that. And so how in the world do we get all of the stuff that needs to be done to get our company to grow with just a small team?
Yeah, the majority of the people I work with, they either have a one-person team or they have 0 team. And it's somebody pulled in from some other department that's like, you can work Canva, you can be the marketing person, or you're good on social, you're the marketing person now. But they're also in charge of a million other things. So you have to figure out what to do. And the first step would be a clear message. Know
Mhm.
exactly who your customer is and what problem they have, and then how you solve that problem uniquely. That's essential. That's the first thing you want to do. And then you want to create a core content offer. So this is the thing that you can commit to doing on a regular basis, even if it's just once a month or once a quarter. If you're committing to that thing and then repurposing it to high heaven, then you're still good and you're still showing up for your audience and adding value.
Hang on a second. You made a really big impact and then you jumped onto the second one. So you talked about clear messaging.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, this is probably the number one mistake that business owners have in their businesses, that they never really got clear on their messaging.
Yeah, that's a huge issue is the first thing a lot of companies do when they're deciding, okay, I need marketing is build a website, but they don't have a clear message to align with that website, or build some social media profiles so they can have a presence online. But the issue is they don't know who they're serving, they don't know what they care about, and they don't know what it is that makes them unique. Like, who cares what you're doing, what you're selling, if you're doing it the same exact way as your competitors? You need to be
Mm.
able to have a clear message on, this is the problem I solve. This is how I can make your life better and that problem go away for you. And this is how I do it differently than everyone else.
I love it. That is really, truly, um, I think it's the make or break for any marketing is if you jump to, like you said, the website and social and you post and you do all the stuff that you're doing. But if that message isn't clear and aligning with your ideal customer and the problems they have, you're wasting your time, and
Mhm.
then therefore your marketing fails, right?
Yes.
And then you're, oh well, that company didn't work for me, and oh, this stuff, this method didn't work because you didn't do the foundational stuff.
That's the biggest thing is nobody wants to spend the time on the foundation because it's like it feels like you're wasting time. You're like, "No, I need to take action." No,
Mm,
you need a foundation because if you're taking action, you're spending money and time that you don't have on things that aren't going to move the needle.
that's so funny. Think about building the house, right? If you built your house on quicksand, the house is going to fall
Yeah,
into the ground or fall
not going to
apart.
work.
Exactly, exactly. Cool. So, before we move off of this topic, because I know it's just so important, how long does it take to really truly dial in that messaging? And if I know it right, it's an ever going process. But really, what does it take to get that message in line?
It takes a couple conversations with customers and a couple conversations with stakeholders. You need to truly understand that customer and what it is that's keeping them up at night, what it is that their true fear is behind not solving that problem. And
Mm.
that's what you need to speak on. So, there's a couple ways that you can get that information. One, if you already have customers, talk to them. You can have those conversations in sales calls. You can have them in your regular client meetings. You can gather so much amazing information from those conversations you're already having. And then when I'm doing a messaging strategy for a client, I schedule interviews with 3 or 4 of their clients and have those one-to-one conversations to really understand that. And then I survey the rest so I can get as much information as possible. Now, if you don't have a customer and you're just starting up, you can still get some of this information from doing a little copy stalking. Go
Love
online
it.
and look at reviews of books that are like the problem that you solve. Aim for those 3-star reviews. Those are the ones that usually have the goods in it because it's not someone who's like best friends with the author and it's not someone
Someone's
who's,
mom.
yeah, it's not someone's mom. It's not a 1-star review where they're just angry at the world. Those 3-star reviews have a lot of great information about what was missing and
Mm.
what they actually really liked about the book. And this can give you some amazing information for your messaging and your own packaging on the service that you provide. What is it that your customer cares about?
Wow.
Um,
That was a juicy little nugget there, Sarah. I mean, holy cow. Doing 3 stars reviews and finding them, because we're all stuck in our own head, right? And we really need to get out of our head and into our ideal customer's head. So that's an amazing tip. Okay, we've spent enough time on this, and I know we've probably forgotten again what step two was, but I think it was consistency, right? What is step
It
two?
was creating a core piece of content. So
Ah,
you
there it is.
are being consistent. Yes, even if, like, let's say you are a receptionist and you got pulled into marketing. You're in charge now of handling all of the social media, getting brochures together and doing the emails. Let's say that's you and you only have time to show, like, to create something new once a quarter because you're doing
Mm,
your actual job the rest of the time.
right?
So,
Like many of us business owners.
yes, yes, so many solopreneurs are living this life and know exactly what I'm talking about because you're doing client fulfillment on top of, the finances for your business, the operations, the marketing. But you can commit to, let's say your core piece of content will be an influencer interview once a quarter. So you spend 60 minutes and you interview a subject matter expert on the problem that you solve. So that 60-minute piece of content can be broken down into several videos. Like, let's say you're aiming for 5-minute videos. That's a lot of content. You can convert it into a couple podcasts. You can make it a series. You can turn it into blog posts. You can create an ebook on it. You can, at the end of the year, you can take those 4 interviews that you did, compile the quotes, and create a full-on book, post it on Amazon or Ingram Sparks, and create and sell a book about that topic using the subject matter expertise that you gained through those interviews through the year. But those 4 interviews that you're doing a year can turn into all of your social media content, your emails, everything.
Wow. Did you just make that whole process easy?
It is
You only
easy.
have to do it once a quarter.
Yes, it is easy. I recently put together a podcast episode on this where I was like, I talk to a lot of solopreneurs that just don't have time to market. Let's look at, if you only had time once a quarter to create something new. What would that look like? And I ended up breaking it down into 64 pieces, which is one piece of content every single weekday of that entire quarter. It's totally
Wow.
possible.
Wow. And then because not everybody's able to look at everything you post, they're still over a period of a couple of months getting the same messaging in just different ways and shapes and forms. And then you expert status yourself with that content and that topic. Wow, that's brilliant. Sarah, another great nugget that you've shared with us.
Thanks.
Okay, wow. So you just take this one idea from a quarter, right? And you just break it into pieces that you could reuse. A lot of people have this like fear of posting something the same way twice, right?
Yeah, okay. So, 2 things here. Repurposing and recycling are not the same thing.
Okay, good.
So, you have that SME interview, 60 minutes of content. That is really what I described to you would be 64 completely different pieces of content that you're able
Okay.
to complete. So, that's all net new, just using the same source.
Mm,
And recycling is okay too, because people aren't going to memorize everything that you posted. And only, I think it's like 10% of your audience actually sees what you've created and posted the first time. So recycling is important. I like to use Smarter Q. It recycles your most popular posts. So it's going up again. And trust me, nobody notices, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're living their own life.
exactly. Wow. And then you're mentioning these great little tools that we can use to make it easier. So we don't have to flip through all of our research to figure out which one was a good one. A little tool will pop it up
Yeah.
and say, here's the one with the best engagement.
Yeah, these ones are doing great. Let's repost them. It's so easy. And if you did want to take the example that I'm talking about, one SME interview, You can use StreamYard and you can break those down into reels and shorts right on there and edit it within that program. You could also download the WAV files and the video recordings so you can have a podcast from it. You can have
Mm.
multiple videos from it. And Descript is another great tool for that, where you can edit your podcast and all of your videos right in the same thing. Plus, I really love its transcription tool because you can pull that, get all the SEO juice from the transcripts, and you could also break down that transcript into multiple blog posts.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant. One person really can be a whole marketing team if you follow your methods here and doing this. Wow. Okay, so we've got a clear, clean message, right? That is purposely talking to our ideal customer and the
Mm-hmm.
problems that they have and how we're the solution for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is that we're doing core content that can be repurposed and recycled and pulled apart into, gosh,
Yeah.
64 different ways.
64 completely net new pieces of content.
Holy
No
moly,
extra
that's insane.
research.
That's insane. Okay, so then, and then you've given us a whole bunch of little tools that can help simplify what we're doing. Um, what kind of content do we really want to provide for our ideal customer? I mean, do we want to have all business kind of stuff? Here's the best greatest thing, or do we kind of want to mix up and put the favorite food I ate, or Fluffy in the background, or my kids, or what do we do with that kind of marketing?
I I like to say edutainment is a good way to go, where you have a mix of entertaining posts and educational posts, and then mix that in with some promotional because you got to sell. You're still a business.
That's right.
But I
Love
think
it.
a good edutainment is a good way to go, mixing it in.
I think that's great. So now you've come up with this great new line for us, or a commingling of two words together. How does one do that? How does one balance it? Is it an 80-20 kind of thing? Is it a 60-40? What do you
Yeah.
recommend?
Well, I would say keep promos down to that 20%. And then education and entertainment posts can be in the 80%.
Got
You
it.
are truly, you don't need to promote a lot. People do need to know what you're selling, otherwise, they're going to not know. So you need to explain it. However, you are pushing people through the sales process with your content. You don't need to be super promotional because by teaching them how to solve their problem and building trust and showing your personality, you're taking them 80% of the way through the sales process before you're ever having that call. You don't need to sell them. It just comes down to numbers on their end by the time you get to the
Love it.
sales call.
Love it. Okay, so yes, they want to, if I'm getting this right, they want to see you as a person and authentic, right? They want to see a little bit of personality from
Mhm.
you to see if they like who you are. I mean, you
Yeah.
could be, have purple hair and polka dots all over your face, and if they like that, that's going to attract them. So I think that that's something nice to have in it. But yeah, I see a full mix in marketing, right? Whether it's something in that is all about the fun stuff that they like, or um there's this one person I've been following that's a friend of mine, and it's so funny. He's talking about all motivational things, but that's not even aligned with his business at all, which is wonky. um
Yeah. You definitely want your education to align with what you're selling.
that's what I thought. I was really confused about seeing his recent stuff. But I thought maybe he changed his business, right? And is now, into motivation
It could be that
person.
he's planning on changing his business, and so he's trying to switch gears a little bit.
Interesting. I have to look more into that one. But yeah, so I think having that balance, right? But it's always, if you can do it around your business, then it's putting your marketing dollars to work, right? And your marketing
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, it's all about building that know, like, trust factor. People figure out that you exist in the first place. And then, by showing your personality in your content, they get to like you. You attract or repel, and that's okay because they're self-eliminating people that wouldn't be a good fit for you anyway. And then you're
Mm.
building trust by teaching them how to solve their problem.
Love it, love it. And I love this method of doing one interview and chopping it up to 64 different pieces. So all right, so we got the clear message. We've got the core content that we can repurpose and occasionally recycle. What else do we really need to know as a tiny marketing team to be successful in our lane and attract customers? Because we're doing this for one reason, right?
Yeah, you want to sell. So, I mean, when it comes down to that, making sure that your content is on point and that it aligns with the product or service that you're selling is super important. And once you have that content figured out, then systemizing this whole thing. So I call it the
Mm.
tiny five, where it's streamline, systemize, automate, batch, and outsource. So that is the system that I came up with when I was a one person marketing department to be able to get it all done.
Wow. Okay. You hit me with those really fast again. So let's talk about those for a couple of minutes here. Systems are so important, right?
Yes.
Because you're doing them now. If you can document them, you can always pass portions or all of it off later on if you have it systematized,
Yeah. That's
which
the
is
outsource end of the of the tiny
love
five.
it. Love it. Love it. So let's go through that again. So what's the first one in your tiny five?
First one is streamline. So with streamline, it is creating a really simple marketing plan that makes sense, understanding who your customer is, what your messaging is, and what you're going to be doing, like that core content.
Perfect.
Having
All right.
that set up. And then
That
once
super
you've,
important again. You're
yeah,
just
the
giving us so many great
foundation.
nuggets. Okay. So once we've streamlined, what's the next thing we're going to do?
Next up is systemizing. So you've figured out what you're going to be doing. Now systemize it. How are you going to make that work with the resources that you have available? Make sure you're setting up project management, um, like Trello or Teamwork, and create templates. So anything that you have to create reoccurring is super fast and easy. And you can do that in your project management tool. You can do that in Google Suite. Like I make templates for anything that I have to do
More than once.
often. Yeah, more than once.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, okay. So we streamlined and systematized.
Hmm.
What else are we doing?
Next up is batching because it's
Mm,
just a tiny team. So you want to time batch. And if you're doing that example of one interview a quarter, all you have to do is sit down for one day and break that up into those videos, schedule it all out at the same time. And you can create all of your social media during that same time while it's hot on your brain. Schedule it out in your social media automator.
love
Make
it.
it easy for you.
And done, right?
Done. Then you can move
Done.
on to your actual full-time job.
That's amazing because when we're most business owners I run across with, they're either not working off of a list at all or their list is gigantic. I got to do all these things, right? And if I can get something off my list, that is a huge win. So I
Yeah.
love it that you're done after
Yeah.
that. So that's
Be
fantastic.
strategic. Be strategic about it and like set your out of office, go to a place where you can't be interrupted and just plow through it.
Yeah, or if you don't have time to do it, that could be a Saturday job, right?
It could
That
be a
you bust it
Saturday
all
job.
through. Love it, love it. Okay, so after batching, what comes next?
Automating. Anything that can
Ooh,
be automate.
so
So
give me
you
an example of that.
um for example, if you're doing your batching, you could write all of your emails for the next month that are going to go out to your clients. Let's say you have a weekly newsletter. Put it in your email marketing tool, schedule it out ahead of time. You can batch all of your social media posts for the next week or so. and schedule it out in your social media automation. Like I use Flowdesk. I also have clients who use Meet Edgar. So I use Smarter Queue. There's Recur Post. So those are some tools that you can use through automation and make sure that everything is connected so that they play
Mm.
nice. So for like if your website, anybody who signs up for your newsletter doesn't automatically go to your email marketing tool, that wouldn't be any good. If you have to like import it from your Google Sheets every time. So
Right.
use Zapier to connect them if they don't connect natively. Make it easy for yourself.
I love it. I love it. Well, automating would be, also with this new chat GPT stuff that's going around, that could help you streamline or automate some of your heavy lifting, and the
Yeah,
creative side of it. So I was like,
that's
ooh,
true.
yeah, where else can we automate, right? To simplify what we're doing, because the last thing we want to do is sit down on say you email on Tuesdays, right? Sit down on a Tuesday morning and have to look at a blank cursor as you're writing all this stuff and then send it out to the email list, where you made it sound super easy to just batch it and have it go when it's supposed to go, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you really don't. And if you're not a writer, like writing comes easy to me, but
Mm-hmm.
there are some amazing AI tools for that too. Like AnyWord is one that I use to optimize my content, but it will also write for you. So you can get your emails and your social media written for you with AnyWord. Chat
Love it.
GPT is huge. There's a couple really good ones out there.
All right, awesome. So then what's number 5?
The last one is outsource. So
Love it.
once you've figured out all of those other things, look at the Eisenhower matrix, which basically breaks down it's like this. It's your do, schedule, delegate, eliminate. So
Mm,
anything that is it's not important and it's not time sensitive, you can delegate to someone else. It could be someone else on your internal team, or it could be an outsourced contractor. But outsource anything that doesn't make sense for you to do. It takes too much of your time. Someone else can do it better and faster than you. Anything like
yep.
that.
Yep. I always say only do the things that only you can do.
Yeah,
You're
you'll
if
save
you're the
time.
CEO of the company, exactly, you shouldn't necessarily be doing your marketing. Don't do your own accounting, right? There are things that you should pass off. And I think there are so many resources out there with outsourced companies like your own that can take some of this off your plate, as well as uh, virtual team members that could do it at a quicker, faster, and a penny fractions of
Yeah,
the price that your hourly time is worth. So I love it. But you know what? Like anything in a business, as a business owner, you've got to be the leader and be able to have the vision and tell someone what to do. So it makes sense to have it all systematized and programmed out. So when you give direction, they can do it better for you.
yeah. If you do the first four pieces, then it will be easier to outsource in the end when you're
Exactly.
ready to do that.
Exactly. So, you've given us some really juicy stuff here, Sarah. I'm just so excited. I'm taking notes like crazy, um, not just for the notes that are going to be in the podcast, but these are really valuable tips that we should all be doing, because marketing's this daunting task that is required of every business,
Hmm.
but it's so problematic, right? Because we think we have to do everything and be everywhere. And, I've got to do reels, and I've got to post, and I've got to blog, and I've got to have, the list just gets exponential,
Yeah.
but it's not always necessary. You just need
No.
to be impactful, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be everywhere and do everything. Just pick your one thing and focus on that. And when you're starting off, start on one channel, master that, and then you can add something else on, but you don't need to do everything.
But that's that FOMO, right? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that new dancing TikTok thing or whatever, that my clients aren't 18 to 24. So why am I wasting time with TikTok? Right?
Yeah, do what makes you happy for one, something that you enjoy doing. And as you're growing, just, try one thing at a time. I always say marketing is an experiment, and give yourself a quarter to test out something that you're interested in testing out, and give yourself benchmarks. If I hit this benchmark, then I'll keep it going. But if you don't, be okay with saying goodbye. When marketing's an experiment, it means that failure is learning. If something didn't
Love it.
work, you've learned that it doesn't work for you, and that's a good thing.
Now, I know you just dropped another bomb, measure, right? Measure
Measure
results,
everything.
KPIs. That could be a whole nother,
Oh my
podcast just
gosh.
talking about that. But, everything that you do, I love it. Test it, see what works. Look at your numbers and engage on it, and then decide whether you need to do more of that or less of that, which is super important because we've got to run our business. We've got to, manage our team. We've got to manage our clients. We've got to,
Yeah.
operations. There's 18 different hats that we wear as business owners. And if we can simplify with our team that's going to be doing marketing, whether that's a 1-person team or it's a 10-person team, to simplify it. And I love the way that you've done it.
Yeah. I think that in the end, it really just, you need to be good with streamlining and okay with saying something didn't work. A lot of times we try something out and we think we have to stick to it because we've tried it, but you don't. You can say goodbye.
I love it. Divorce.
Yeah, just
Divorce. We're done.
goodbye Twitter.
Awesome.
You're not working for me. That's okay.
Perfect. Right? Awesome. All right, Sarah, where can listeners find out more about you and Tiny Marketing?
So you can find me at sarahnoelblock.com. That's my website, or anywhere. That's all my socials also. And then I have a on-demand webinar that's available. It should be, I think, in your show notes page, where I show you how to market when you have a small team and a small budget. And I break it all
Mm,
down for you.
love it. Love it. Super valuable and absolutely necessary. Even if you've got a bigger budget, why not be more efficient with it and figure out the right ways to market? Because if you're not marketing, hope is not a plan. You've got to do stuff
Hope is
to
not a plan. That's quotable. That is true.
yeah. I mean, you've got to do things to make the cash register ring, to get people interested in you. And I love that you're using content around everything that you do to be attractive to your clients. So
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you. All right, listeners, I hope you found a couple ideas to put into your business, and you are taking just as many notes as I was. I mean, holy cow, I've got a whole page built out. So yeah, you're gonna find these ideas, make your business more profitable, be marketing savvy, do it with the budget that you can and with the resources that you can. I love that. And hey, while you're at it, how would you like to increase your net profitability by 45% in just 30 days? I know it sounds crazy, but don't believe me, check it out. So I've got this new training called the 30-Day Profit Booster. This is a quick and easy profit boosting strategy that can be done without spending additional money. Got to spend some money, but additional money on marketing, hiring staff, or working longer hours. Go get more information at 30dayprofitbooster.com. And Sarah and I would love to hear your questions or comments. Let us know what big takeaway you're going to implement in your business and share them in the comments today. Sarah and I will give our feedback on it and answer those questions that you've got coming your way. And you can always catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Sarah.